So I finished this recently and it's pretty good. It has very few issues, so the review is going to be kind of short this time around. It had kind of a mini controversy since the guys were trolling on Twitter due to like the updated version being all ages. I don't care about it, I just want your game to be good, and if it is, then we're all cool. I did go and download the Japanese version as well, see like, oh, what am I missing? Because some people are making a lot of shit on it, and I'll talk about that later on in the spoilers. Honestly, it wasn't that much. Anyways, the VN is segmented into 4 pieces, though technically one part gets interspliced for a while. If you read IO, it's kind of like that, but nowhere near as bad. Each segment is considered a case, and your player order is random outside of one case. That's basically the true route. The hardest part is probably choosing which case to start with, since you can just restart your playthrough whenever you want. Here's an image of all the synopsis of all the things I'm not going to say because it's going to spend like another 2 minutes for no reason. So like, you start with case 1, the most interesting route out of the bunch for people that are just captivated by plot or anything else. This case flows so well that I finished most of it in one sitting when I generally take like a break every hour or so. Or should you just start with case 2 only to get it over with? It's not even a bad route, it's just average, and I could put it into like any kind of kinetic novel and give it a 6. So like, yeah, it was fine. Like, there's nothing in there that I'll consider noteworthy. Basically, it has 3 moods of comical, drama, and slice of life. It wasn't a mess. There's no tonal whiplash, but you can tell it was playing it safe the whole time. How neatly everything was segmented. Case 3 is cute. It's more comedic than the second one, and overall it's just a pleasant read outside of maybe the beginning. It's just kind of weird because there's this argument with the main character and his father, but I was always like on the father's side the whole time, so like, oh, what the fuck? Like, you're just wrong. The easiest thing to describe it is that the main character isn't the main attraction, like when compared to case 1. He's kinda dull, but it works considering the other goofballs in the cast. It's pretty good palate cleanser after case 1 and 2. I didn't bother resetting, I somehow got them sequentially, and it's a pretty good experience overall, though I did spend like a few days just to get over case 2 because it's just fucking boring me. Eventually they show the meaning behind each case. It's understandable, and generally you either understand the subtleties behind them or you're close. I wouldn't put them as like a groundbreaking experience or anywhere close, but I don't think they were going for that. Even after the initial 3 cases are finished and you're fully on case 0, you're still kind of segmented by 3 arcs, which is like, oh, here's your child self, the maturing, and the adult or profession. I guess there's the final conclusion that consists of maybe the last 2 hours, so 4 segments in total. The child arc is really well done. The maturing arc is fucking stupid at one point, and I'll talk about that later in the spoilers. And the profession is quite good, but I don't think it hits the highs of case 1. So all in all, I think this was actually really fun to read. It didn't give me an emotional impact from it, but it was just captivating. If case 2 was swapped to something else or just took away some of the forced drama from case 0, I'd give this like a high 9. But because of those, it's just a high 8. If it ended at just case 1, I'd be leaning towards a 10. On the other hand, my favorite tracks come from case 2 since I'm into that kind of style or into the genre. The additional art from the all ages versions welcome and made those scenes way better in my eyes. Each case has at least one great one. Case 0 retroactively adds to the other cases, but really it's just to tie everything together and to raise the whole piece up. I'd say the first H scene was interesting and probably necessary, but they pretty much kept the important parts in the all ages anyway. The H scenes in case 3 were cute, but in pretty much the only case where they dropped it all together due to them being shoved into the epilogue and the original anyway. So it's now time for spoilers. Pretty much the rest of it is, so later. So each case is there to represent something in Yonagi's life. Yonagi's the one from case 0, or the one you see in the beginning, right? Or rather, what she's feeling. Case 1 was her disdain for her mom, her love for her father, and also experienced that even in his final days through his dementia shit, the one he remembers is his wife instead of her, who stood with him the whole time. So that's why Rin's mom is nowhere around, and why Shoko is cheating on the teacher for a better, younger prospect. And it's also why her jealousy towards Shoko and the correlation between Kaito, her father, and the teacher. And it's also why both the teacher and Rin's dad can relate so well to each other, since their real-life counterparts handle the same research. Case 3 is just based on the younger selves, it's more on their feelings for each other and their love for Kaito's mother. Case 2 is just on Kaito's lack of awareness in terms of romance, alongside showing the class disparity in Yonagi's world. There's also a tidbit that she wanted to be like Olivia because she thought someone that acted and looked like her would get Kaito's attention more often. And while it's less apparent, I suppose Will trying to be a playwright is supposed to correlate with Kaito trying to be an established researcher. It makes sense, but it's like, I just don't care. Really, it's just that Unagi really liked that era. It'd make more sense if case 2 was written last, so it can reflect Olivia's wanting to stay in the spotlight to Yunagi's and Kaito's want to retain her normal life, but I'm pretty sure case 1 is the last one. I guess everything can be resolved on the basis that she's constantly revising her script, because all of this was to reattach her feelings back to herself. She knew she was going to get dementia soon, and by the end she basically was just a living corpse. I'm assuming characters like the two Spencers and Mitsuo are based on Naruma, whilst Edward and Takehiko are based off Asuma. All of it is pretty much explained, and it's all done relatively well. The best scenes come from when the teacher is in Rin's, or rather her father's, study. Outside of that, I find the scene where the bully finds the secret area that Kaito is going to and he thinks he's the biggest shit. Not only was the scene well done, it sets up the red herring or two. Is the sunlight actually affecting them like they think? Is it something else entirely? And the rest is a cover-up? Were the genes in the newer generation just vastly evolved to lesser tampering? It's some really cool shit. Anyways, while Case 0 has some really cool scenes to it, it also has this really dumb-ass scene in the middle of Case 0. So for context, Kaito has HSAM, or just perfect memory, right? He remembers everything that's going on. Also that the town has a 3-class system, yet for some reason when he finds out that Yonaki was originally part of the middle class, he thinks she was just trolling the whole time, because he finally gets the green light to move to the middle class as well, but she doesn't really want to go. So he goes ass mad just to have some drama going on where HSAM would pretty much negate a chance of this specific scenario to even happen, since he'd remember all the scenes that was going on with Yonagi anyway. It's a scene that doesn't really change much. It's there to explain her origins and to stop him from living in the middle completely, but it could have been handled without the drama, especially when there's way better scenes afterwards. This scene in Case 2 that's basically a fantasy recollection of Shakespeare is what brings the VN down. So for the H scenes, the first scene in Case 1 has the best argument of being in there. Sure, they covered up in the all ages, but it went on for a lot longer, the 18+ version. The next scene is dependent on the person because anything important in it was basically copied over to like one scene before. So either works fine. The rest in that case was pretty whatever, they all make sense in the all ages version anyway. There is one good scene that I'm not sure if it's in the all ages version, I don't think so. It's when the teacher's daydreaming, where Rin's just randomly naked for some reason, and I'm pretty sure it's in the all ages version, but it's just them in the library hanging out because I think he just gave him like his temporary book or whatever. So in some cases the all ages one was better because it was like, well, his wife was also there just ridiculing him, and then she's there like, oh no, this was alright. And the 18+ version is more like her just being provocative. It's like, yeah, you wanna fuck me, don't you? And it's like, alright. And both work for different cases. I think they're both fine. So yeah, like I think there is the dream in the all ages, but it was more based on what he wrote and the interactions he was having with Rin and his wife. It's a simple juxtaposition thing between them, and it relates back to the Case 0 by the end. It's honestly the best callback compared to the other cases since she's confronting the trauma she was having. Anyways, that's it for the H's in Case 1. The ones in Case 2 are really basic. I can just copy them from anywhere, it's whatever. And for Case 3, it's kind of weird because the first ending was her being happy that they paused platonically and at a good point until they both mentally matured and meet each other again. And this was said in the 18+ version as well, except she jerked him off, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't think that's platonic, and maybe I'm just too old and now that's normal. I don't know. Also, the pelvis anatomy doesn't look consistent, and there's a specific one where I think they forgot the character was a guy and they just placed a dick on it. It was like, oh, that's weird. Outside of that, I think Case 3 was fine, and again, Case 0, again, was kind of boring. So I guess Case 1 was the one that's actually kind of interesting. Another weird thing is, by the end of the epilogue, you see Rio, which was like Asuma's wife, and she was in a coma and all shit, and she's hanging out with someone like, and that leads to a different thing. So I don't know, I was like, well, maybe Asuma's work is done and now that's him when he was younger or something, or is she anti-airing him? And that's kind of funny too. I think I just missed the point of that, but whatever. I think I had a good time with that. Like all around, I think Cyanotype is a great VN. It might be my top 20 in terms of like how well written it was.